Hare Krishna, welcome to today's Srimad-Bhagavatam class. Today, before we start our class, let's do a simple Mangala Charana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaim Narotamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraid Nastapadesha Vadareshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistikihi Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Salakaya Chaksuramritanjana Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Putale Srimate Japataka Swamiti Namni Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Padayane Gora Kadudam Dai Niragram Tarni Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Welcome everyone to today's Srimad-Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 12, chapter number 5. Chapter entitled Sukadeva Goswami's Final Instructions to Maharaj Parikshit. So this is the shortest chapter in the whole of Srimad-Bhagavatam, only 13 texts. It is the shortest but is also the most important chapter because this chapter is the final instructions from a spiritual master to his disciple while he is embodied in this human form of life. So this disciple is about to approach death, supposed to approach what we call death. Okay, so this is the instruction of Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit to make sure that he has no fear of death from the snake bite of this snakebird called Takshaka. Okay, let's see what the instructions of Sukadeva Goswami is to his disciple Maharaj Parikshit. Thanks. Number 1. Sukadeva Goswami said, this Srimad-Bhagavatam has elaborately described in various narrations the supreme soul of all that be, the personality of Godhead Hari, from whose satisfaction Brahma is born and from whose anger Rudra takes birth. So from the very onset, Sukadeva Goswami is establishing that this whole material manifestation and all of us, our birth and our activities are for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. It is all because of the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. He mentions here the birth of Lord Brahma. Brahma is the firstborn in this universe. And Lord Brahma, he has already accepted with great maturity, great intelligence, he has accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, as the worthy surrendered personality, the personality worthy to surrender to. And also he is also mentioned here Rudra. Rudra is a very special incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Rudra is Vishnu Tattva. Rudra is referring to Lord Shiva. So in the scriptures it is described that Lord the relationship between Vishnu and Lord Shiva is like of milk and yogurt. Okay, Lord Vishnu is milk and Lord Shiva is yogurt. Both are milk products, but they just come in a different form. So even Lord Rudra, Lord Shiva himself, he owes his existence to Lord Vishnu, and he shows by example he shows how he worships Lord Vishnu. He worships Lord Rama. So this is the Sukadeva Goswami establishing this fact. First, text number 2. O King, give up the animalistic mentality of thinking, I am going to die. Unlike the body, you have not taken birth. There was not a time in the past when you did not exist, and you are not about to be destroyed. So even before hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit, he was already a Mahabhagavat, a pure devotee, a great and pure devotee of Lord Krishna. There was actually no animalistic fear of death actually with Maharaj Parikshit. But for the sake of Sukadeva Goswami speaking very strongly to his disciples, just as Lord Krishna speaks strongly to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. So here, this text here Sukadeva Goswami is very quickly, he's getting to the point. He says there, my dear disciple, my dear Parikshit Maharaj, actually is addressing to all of us also, please do not think that you are going to die, because you are not this material body. This material body is just like a dress. The spirit soul there's no birth or death for the spirit soul. For the spirit soul, he has existed in the past, it is existing now, and it will continue to exist in the future. For the spirit soul, it is unborn. There is no birth. It's unborn. It is eternal. It is primeval. It is unique, and also it is the oldest. The spirit soul is called the oldest because there was never a time when the soul has taken birth. But this material world that we so attached to, it has a beginning and has an end. It has its birth and has its death. So for the spirit soul, there is no death, there is no birth. So what is there to be fearful of? He's saying here, give up this animalistic mentality of thinking I am going to die. This is animalistic thinking. Animals think like that. Animal thinks they are going to die, and therefore they go through unnecessary suffering in terms of anxiety, fear, uncertainty, and so on and so forth. So as superior beings to animals, we human beings, we should have this knowledge of Srimad-Bhagavatam, especially this chapter here, so that we can save ourselves from unnecessary suffering from so-called fear of death. Let's go to text number 3. You will not take birth again in the form of your son and grandsons, like a sprout taking birth from a seed and then generating a new seed. Rather, you are entirely distinct from the material body and its paraphernalia, in the same way that fire is distinct from its fuel. So sometimes one dreams of being reborn as the son of one son, in the hope of perpetually remaining in the same family, material family. As stated in the Shrutis, a father has a father in his son, because he may take birth as his own grandson. The purpose of Srimad-Bhagavatam is spiritual liberation and not the foolish prolonging of illusory bodily identification. That is clearly stated in this verse. Text number 4. In a dream, one can see his own head being cut off and thus understand that his actual self is standing apart from the dream experience. Similarly, while awake, one can see that his body is a product of the 5 material elements. Therefore, it is to be understood that the actual self, the soul, is different, is distinct from the body it observes, and it is unborn and immortal. So here's a very, very interesting point. Even in the language that we speak, we say that this is my hand, this is my leg. We don't say this is I hand, this is I leg. When we say this is my hand, meaning that I am different from my hand. I am not my hand actually. What we are saying is I am not my hand, this is my hand. Just like this is my phone. I am not the phone. I am using the phone. I am different from the phone. This phone belongs to me. Similarly, my body also is the same. My hand belongs to me. My leg belongs to me. My body belongs to me. Everything in my possession belongs to me. But I am not that thing. So similarly also, we can also think of ourselves when we were in a younger age. I'm in my 50s now. I can remember when I was 8 or 9 years old. So you can ask yourself, what happened to that 8 or 9 years old Dhruva? What happened to him? That small boy who had unlimited energy, had an innocent mind, had a curious nature. What happened to that boy? Now I'm an old man already now. So who am I? Am I that 8-year-old Dhruva, or am I the 50-year-old Dhruva now? Who am I actually? So this is evidence to show that you are not the body. Your body changes as time goes on. And there will be a time when my body will cease to exist. I will move on to another body. So the spirit soul transmigrate to another body. Text number 5. When a pot is broken, the portion of sky within the pot remains as the element sky, just as before. In the same way, when the gross and subtle bodies die, the living entity within resumes his spiritual identity. So here Sukadeva Goswami is making another very, very important point. He's saying that we are actually spiritual in nature. We are not this material body. We are spiritual identity. So when so-called death happens, what happens is, it is given an analogy here. We are like the pot. We are like the inside of the pot. When the pot is broken, the sky within the pot becomes one with the outer sky. So similarly, when we give up our body, our inner spirit soul becomes one with the supreme spirit soul. We don't merge, we don't become one, we still remain, our identity remains separate, but we act in our spiritual body. So that is actually much wanted. Why? Because spiritual body, there's no birth, there's no death, there's no old age, there's no disease. So in other words, there's no fear. Can you imagine and ask yourself, what will your life be if right now, while you're still embodied in your body, right now itself, what will happen if you have no fear of birth, death, disease and old age? How will your life be? How will you live your life? Will your life be miserable or will you be full of joy and happiness? Text number 6. The material bodies, qualities and activities of the spirit soul are created by the material mind. That mind is in itself created by the illusory potency of the Supreme Lord, and thus the soul assumes material existence. So here is another very, very, very deep point. Sukadeva Goswami is putting across that. He's saying that this material body and that program which runs this body, which is your mind, intelligence and ego, all of this is actually the energy of the Supreme Lord. It is the energy of the Supreme Lord. In other words, what it means is it all belongs to the Supreme Lord. It does not belong to you. So don't go and cheat yourself by saying, oh, this is my body, oh, it's my responsibility, oh, this is my money, oh, I cannot give you, oh, it doesn't belong to God, it belongs to me only, it's for my enjoyment. This is all cheating yourself. You're simply cheating yourself. You will know that you are cheating yourself when death comes. When all your attachment, your false attachment are taken away from you by force, whether you like it or not. So this is the warning also given by Sukadeva Goswami. He says that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Everything is meant for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Radha Krishna Priti Arte. Radha Krishna Priti Arte means everything is for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And we being eternal spirit souls, our constitutional position is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Radha and Krishna. Text number 7. A lamp functions as such only by the combination of its fuel, vessel, wick and fire. Similarly, material life based on the soul's identification with the body is developed and destroyed by the working of material goodness, passion and ignorance, which are the constitute element of the body. So again, he is making another point here. He is bringing in the elements of goodness, passion and ignorance. Sattvika guna, Raja gunam and Tamasa gunam. These are three modes of material nature. You can think of them like puppets on a string. Literally puppet on a string. The material body is the puppet and the strings are this mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. Again, he is emphasizing that even our activities, our so-called activities that we perform in this material world is actually being conducted by the Supreme Lord. It's a facility given by the Supreme Lord to all living entities so that they can fulfill their unholy desires to become enjoyers of this material world. You see, this is the real story here. Text number 8. The soul within the body is self-luminous and is separated from the visible gross body and invisible subtle body. It remains as the fixed basis of changing bodily existence, just as the ethereal sky is the unchanging background of material transformation. Therefore, the soul is endless and without material comparison. So Sukadeva Goswami is making another wonderful point here. He says there that the soul is endless and it is without material comparison. The material world that we live in actually cannot contain the spirit soul. The spirit soul is so very powerful. It is so powerful that everything that happens to the material body, the constant is the spirit soul. The spirit soul is not affected by any changes, material changes that we go through in life. Just like I gave an example. Once I was an 8-year-old boy. Now I'm a 50-year-old man. You see, my body is changing, but the soul remains Satchit Ananda, eternal, full of knowledge and always blissful. That is the reality of the soul. Text number 9. My dear King, by constantly meditating upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva and by applying clear and logical intelligence, you should carefully consider your true self and how it is situated within the material body. So this is an advice given to Parikshit Maharaj and also to all of us, that we should constantly meditate upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva by applying our intelligence, our mind and all the facility, the healthy material body that we have in loving service of the Supreme Lord. This is actually a great art. This devotional service is exactly that. It is devotion, practice of devotion. We can practice devotion very easily. Simply by reading Srimad-Bhagavatam, we will find that everything around us has its origin in Krishna. Krishna has been described as Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. So everything around you actually reminds you of Krishna. In fact, I encourage everybody I see to practice devotional service on a moment-to-moment basis. Anything you do, let's say you want to brush your teeth. When you get up in the morning, when you brush your teeth, you can just have a thought in your mind. Say, Krishna, I'm brushing my teeth. Why? Because I want to make my teeth clean so that when I utter prayers in praise of you, you'll be in a pure form. I don't want germs in my mouth. I don't want to offer germs. I want to offer purity. Similarly, when you take bath also, you can think like that in your mind. Krishna, I'm cleaning my body now because I want to serve you in a clean and pure way. Similarly, when we read these books like Srimad-Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, or we try to memorize verses from Srimad-Bhagavad Gita or Srimad-Bhagavatam, we can say to ourselves, Krishna, now I'm reciting words that you have spoken simply to please you. So this is a very great art. Anybody can do this at any time. And if you were to practice this from the very birth, from your birth, it will be a great asset in your life, throughout your whole life. Text number 10. The snakebird Takshaka sent by the curse of the Brahmana will not burn your true self. The agent of death will never burn such a master of the self as you, for you have already conquered all dangers on the path back home to Godhead. So real death is the covering of one's eternal Krishna consciousness, the illusion that I am the material body. For the soul, material illusion is just like death. But Parikshit Maharaj had already destroyed all those dangers that threaten one's spiritual life, such as lust, envy and fear. Sukadeva Goswami here congratulates the great saintly king who, as a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, homeward bound to the spiritual sky, was far beyond the reach of death. So we should all aspire to be in the shoes and the footsteps of a great devotee like Parikshit Maharaj. We should go beyond being entangled in this material world. The best way to be free from entanglement in this material world is by seeing that everything that is happening to us, everything that is given to us by the Supreme Lord in terms of our ability, our intelligence, or even the lacking of ability or intelligence, is simply a gift from Krishna. Krishna's loving gift to all of us. Krishna wants to see what you will do with this gift. And the best thing to do is to simply offer such gift in loving devotion to Krishna. Always thinking that Krishna is the most loving father, loving friend, loving relative, loving lover, loving parent. So this is the way we should think. Text number 11 and 12. You should consider, I am non-different from the absolute truth, the supreme abode. That absolute truth, the supreme destination, is non-different from me. Thus, resigning yourself to the Supreme Soul, who is free from all material misidentification, you will not even notice the snakebird Takshaka when he approaches with his poison-filled fangs and bite your foot. Nor will you see your dying body or the material world around you, because you will have realized yourself to be separate from them. So this is actually the very final instruction from Sukadeva Goswami to his disciple Parikshit Maharaj. And he's giving here very nice instruction. He says there, don't be fearful of this snake bird. This snake bird cannot kill you. You are not the body. The snake will come and bite your foot only. He'll come and bite your foot, and then your body will die, but you will not be so much affected by it. Why? Because it is exactly just like how you are taking off when you change clothes. When you take off your old clothes, you put new clothes on. It is exactly like that. This is a position of a highly elevated devotee. How do you become a highly elevated devotee? Easy, only. Just find a pure devotee and take instructions from that pure devotee. Try to please them. Automatically, such pure devotee will impart knowledge onto you, and you will be in the position of Parikshit Maharaj. When so-called death comes, you will be not affected. You will be just like changing from day to night, night to day. You will be just like that only. Text number 13. Beloved King Parikshit, I have narrated to you the topics you originally inquired about, the pastimes of Lord Hari, the supreme soul of the universe. Now what more do you wish to hear? So in this commentary, for this verse, the last verse in this chapter, Srila Jiva Goswami has elaborately demonstrated that by citing many Bhagavatam verses, the exalted devotional position of King Parikshit was fully determined to fix his mind upon Lord Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So this is a very wonderful chapter that all of us should read again and again and again. It's the shortest chapter in the whole of Srimad-Bhagavatam. It's very instructive into how to live a successful human life, and at the end we go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.